Welcome to Useful Utility. In today's episode, we're going to start with Inferno, starting with banana, B-bomb site, mid, then the A-bomb site. Spawn for spawn smoke, aim at the top right of the flower pot, run, and then you're going to release and jump throw at this point here. You'll need to practice this one because different power will mean different results. You want the smoke to land as center as you possibly can. Too much power, it might land a little bit to the left or the right, or too little power, so you want to make sure that you practice that. Same position for a top car smoke, half wall smoke. Walk step by aiming at this corner, and you're going to release after a step. Again, because you're moving with this, too much or too little power will make it land a little bit farther, a little bit shallower, or it might bounce off this if it's even more shallow. The benefit of doing this smoke, as opposed to this one here behind the bike, and aiming between the wires and left clicking, which is a more precise lineup, so you're going to have more consistent results, is that this one will bounce here and then here, and it also takes longer to travel to the position to throw the smoke from, and it takes longer for this initial bounce. So if there's incendiaries or molotovs present in the banana area, the smoke might be put out there. So doing the one where you aim at the corner of the roof and walk step, it will land earlier, which means that it's probably going to be less affected by molotovs or incendiaries. This smoke popularized by Fnatic. You aim above this position just a tiny bit, and you jump throw, and this is going to bounce off the back wall here. For sandbag area, this is really good if you know that you're against an opera at banana. It's really going to lock him out. It'll make him play more passive, and if he wants to run forwards, this is when you can start using molotovs or grenades to cancel him out. Now that you have banana control, you're going to want to think about doing a banana execute. Most common smoke spots are spawn, coffins, and then the front sight smokes. So to do the spawn one, come to the doorbell, aim above the chimney. You should have the smoke on your screen. I use it as a reference point. Aim somewhere around the height of the smoke, not the very tippy top, but somewhere most of the way up. It's going to land over here. I like this one because it's very difficult for CT to play like a one-way back here. It's also a safe position to throw it from. You're not standing out exposed, but there is a way that you can do it from the half wall. If you aim up here and somewhere like halfway up the smokestack, you can do a smoke like that, just in case someone else needs that position. But again, they're your smokes for spawn. If you need to do a spawn smoke on the run, what I like to do is I hold left and right mouse button, and while you're running at full speed, you aim where this wall divides between the straight wall and the slanted wall, and you just run and then middle click. And because it's a middle click, it's going to be really fast landing, and it's not going to have enough power where it's going to bounce too much to one side. So as long as you aim at the height of this wall, you're going to have a nice flush smoke. There's not going to be a gap on the left or the right. For coffins, the smoke I primarily use is from this corner of the shadow. You aim at this leaf here, the top point of the leaf. And the reason why I use this smoke is because there's a flash combination that I use, but it's also fast landing. Because it bounces as such, it's going to bloom very shortly after you throw it. It doesn't bounce a bunch of times, which means that if you're combining it with flashes either before or afterwards, the smoke is going to be up and lock out anyone from being able to peek. Whereas if your teammates are running in, while another smoke, such as this one for example, from the logs area, you aim in line with these two pillars, two ball pins, whatever they are. If you throw this, the C2s are going to be able to see it coming, they're going to see it landing, maybe they block it or something, and maybe they take a shot at one of your teammates before they're able to come in, before a flash comes, for example. To the front sight smokes, if you're doing just the front sight smoke, just a single one, I aim at this part of the antenna, standing in this half wall in front of it, and I just left click. It's going to bounce off here and land as such. I like doing this against offers as well, if I know that the enemies are playing multiple people in the site, or if I want to isolate one guy in CT spawn, knowing that the other guy's in sight, so I can take this 1v1 against him in spawn. I'll do this smoke. It's also very good at just applying a lot of pressure. It allows you to peek in and take better engagements, and it always just puts a lot of stress on the enemies. But if you're going to combine it with the other side, what I'll do is I'll come to this corner here. I'll aim at this leaf, stand up, and throw. You could also do it by aiming at this spike, but I do this one. So this will be for front sight, and then to connect it with classic view model default gloves, I put the pin of my smoke grenade in the B right here, and I just left click, and that should connect the two smokes together so that you have a nice wall of smokes here. and then that way you can push into spawn and really ignore the people in the site. Or what you could do is you could get people ready to come through the smokes and flash over, and then you're through at different areas in the site, and it's going to be very stressful for the enemies to be able to get multi-frags on you. If you're going to do the front site smokes, you might want to combine it with a deep spawn smoke. If you come into the barrels here, use this support beam as reference, and then you're just going to go into the first chevron of it, and you're just going to left click throw this one, so it's going to be easy. Bounces off this back wall, and it's going to land flush in CT spawn here, and that's going to allow you to, with the combined front sight smokes, allows you to wrap through back holes and pinch the site from back holes as well. Moving on to middle, the first smokes I'm going to show you are for arch side, porch side, and top middle from T-spawn, so this could be implemented in a rush or to stress enemies early. From the same spot that you would do the spawn to spawn smoke, you can do an arch smoke, aim at the ball peen here, you're going to run, and you're going to release when your crosshair's hitting this point here, and jump throw. It's going to bounce off the back wall. You're going to have varying results every time because it's a running throw, so you're not going to be super precise, but the result should be as such. The smoke might be a little bit farther out depending on how much power you give it. To do porch side, come to this corner, aim at the top left of this window here, jump throw, standing still, so you're going to be able to get pretty precise results every time. To do top middle, I like to do this one. You come into here, aim in this open sky area, just in the middle of it, and jump throw. It's going to bounce off the back wall at top middle, and it's going to land as such. This is going to prevent them from peeking down middle, and it'll allow you to either use it if you want to pop through it. You can combine it with a pop flash, and it's going to leave a little bit of a gap, but if someone's playing this side, it's going to be very difficult for them to see you if you go out porch side, and vice versa. If they're over here at porch side, it's going to be very difficult for them to see you if you're going through the smoke to come out arch side. So that's really good to use it in ecos, for example. If you needed to take arch side middle control and you want to do a smoke for arch side, I like this one because even if you get smoked off, you can see it, come to the front of the bench, aim where the red and the white meet, run, jump throw. It's going to bounce off the walls as such. Another way to do it, if you're in alt middle, come to the middle of this wood door, and then you're going to aim at the bottom of this wood door and jump throw. This one you're a little bit exposed. If the CTs peek you mid, you might die, so it's only really useful if you know that they can't be there if your teammates are closer. But also if you're smoked out and you want to use this one and you can't see the lineup there, make sure that your crosshair's above this flower pot, below this dot, and then you're going to want to make sure that you're to the left of this pillar. So even if I'm smoked out up here and I want to use this smoke, I want to make sure that my crosshair is going to be to the left of that pillar, and then above the flower and below the knobs, and it's going to give me what I want. From Mexi pit, you aim at the height of this roof, where in the middle of the roof, and then at the support beam, left click, that's going to be for porch side. From the same spot in Mexi, if you aim at the right side of the flowers, at this part of the chimney, jump throw, that's going to be from Moto. If you come to this bench here, stand behind it, aim to the right of this support beam thing, jump throw, this is going to block off mini pit, or sardines as we called it. And this will allow your teammates to come up porch side relatively uncontested. Common reaction from the CTs would be to jump up and peek behind it like this, so be careful of that. If you want to do spawn arch smoke, come into this corner here. You don't have to be super specific. It's got a pretty good margin of error. Aim at this little penis, left click. It'll bounce off the roof and land in CT spawn every time without fail. To do a library smoke from the same position, you can aim at the support beam in between these two wires and left click. But because we don't like to do two smokes from the same position, you can stand behind here and you can aim in between the support beam here and jump throw. That way you don't have to stand two people in the same position. You can throw both smokes at the same time. Let's say you have top middle control, you come to this section instead, aim just above this yin yang thing, and jump throw, and that's also going to give you a library smoke. So if you have top mid control, you don't have to run all the way back here to do it. To do a smoke so that you could do a B split, we call it the domino smoke because there's a domino piece here, but it's going to land a little bit farther back than that. Come to this barrel, aim between the chimney and the wall, and jump throw. And it's going to bounce off the back wall by library and give you that spawn split smoke. If you already have middle control, you can do the same thing from coming here, aiming at the top middle part of the door and jump throw. If you want to smoke off on the balcony pretty early so that you can do a hulls pop, if you come here and you aim at this top leaf thing and you throw, it's going to land on the balcony and it's going to help assist you with a hulls jump out. If you stand up, you're going to have a little bit of a gap here, which you could use to come and peek sight first. If you aim at it while crouched, you're going to get a different result, and the result is going to be as such. And this will be more for going through the smoke and jumping out because it's going to be pretty tight to this doorway, but with enough practice, with a flashbang, you can jump out and make your way into mini pit. Or, primarily, on hulls pops, the first guy would jump out to lane side anyways. If you're inside hulls and you want to do a lurk smoke, that is also a one-way. Come into this part of the door right here, come straight at it, aim at this part of the pillar. It's pretty lenient, it doesn't have to be pixel perfect. It's going to land out here on the hay cart, and what this does is it provides you a one-way that you can use. If you're standing on this railing here, you can be able to see into sight, and it's very difficult for them to see you if they can see you at all. So that's really good at stopping people that are playing in sight, people that are rotating from Moto, and also people that are in pit can't really see you. They'd have to spray at you and basically hope and guess. If you want to smoke out this part of sight because you want to focus on swing on pit first and then swing on sight, there's a good one that you can do from this mailbox. Aim at the top middle of this and then run release, and that's going to land there pretty consistently, so that's pretty nice. You could also combine that with smoke that you could throw from this position here behind the bench, aim at the top right of this orange part and jump throw, and that will bounce through the graveyard thing and land here. Maybe you combine that so you could do something where you just focus on just swing on pit. Of course, aiming at the top right of this flower pot is for Moto from close middle. Now this is the problem with doing like off-the-cuff shit. I have no idea if I've shown you everything that you need to know. I've shown you, let's go through it. I've shown you this, I've shown you this, I've shown you library spawn arch, I've shown you Moto, I've shown you mid-sight, I've shown you this, I've shown you bell clerk smoke, and I've shown you a smoke here. There is a smoke that you could do for there if you really want to know it. What I do is I come into this part here, and then using my grenade pin like I did at B, I want to make sure that my grenade pin is going to be over here. That's default, gloves, and classic V model, and I just left click this thing, and that's going to bounce off here and land over here. So if you combine that plus the one that I threw from the mid bench, and then you combine that as well with the hulls lurk smoke, you're going to have a nice wall of smokes. So that's how you're going to be able to connect the 3 smokes, and then that can also assist with the hulls pop because now you have all of pit side smoked off. Or you could do the 3 smokes, use that to disable pit, do that with the Moto smoke, and you can come into sight without worrying about pit at all. I hope this has helped, and if it does, maybe you could be ready for FPL, who knows. Peace.